Tonight in Arkansas, there's a mother tucking in her daughter and turning off the light. A business owner's burning the midnight oil. An at-home dinner date is plating up possibility. And it's all happening under one roof. How? The power of a conversation, like the one John from Integrity Solutions had with First Horizon Bank about his vision for a sustainable mixed-use building. Now it's not just words, it's life. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/John. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
There's a fine line between genius and insanity, and we're walking it. It's the Marketing Madhouse.
Welcome to another episode of Marketing Madhouse. I'm your host, Moira, and I am joined today by Modo Modo Agency's very own Director of Media, Melissa Nordin.
Hello.
Let's start with a little bit about your career in media. Obviously, media has undergone tremendous, transformation in the last few decades, as has everything in marketing. And I assume your experience has likewise been really varied. How did you start out in media? Tell me a little bit about this journey.
Yeah, like you said, I've been doing this for quite some time, and I've really had the opportunity to experience firsthand the evolution of media. When you started, there was no internet. And when we did media planning for clients, we really only thought about a handful of tactics, right? We talked about broadcast, radio, TV, print was king, magazines, newspapers, out of home. Not a lot to think about, and our KPIs were really built on impression delivery. Did we do what we said we were going to do? How efficient was the media? But digital really changed everything about media, and I think it continues to every day. Things are evolving. It's been quite a transition for people like me to experience, but the great thing about it is now we have so much measurability for for what we're doing in media. I think you and I both remember getting the question from our clients, how do we know if our advertising is working? You and I both know it was working, but outside of things like brand lift studies, we had no real way to prove the value of our media. So,
you were when we were prepping for this, we were talking about the age-old question. You called it, right? The age-old question of, is my marketing working? Which is the John Wanamaker dilemma. So I took the liberty of looking up the Wanamaker dilemma, just for those that do not know. And we're just talking about media transformation in the last 30 years. But John Wanamaker lived from the company was 1875. So he was in the 1800s, and he was a pioneer in retail. He was the first, general goods store, and he was the first company to do media placements, to run advertising from a consumer's perspective. So Harvard has a write-up on him. And, he always talked about it was called the Wanamaker dilemma, which is half of my media is working. The problem is I don't know which half. Right. And here we are, right, that he was doing these things in the, early 1900s. And we still have clients that show up and say, can you tell me what is working here?
Every day. And I think the great thing is we're getting better at answering that question versus just, I think it's working.
Yeah.
I know it's working. I just can't tell you to what extent.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the exciting things that I know we'll get back to is the stuff travels in circles too, because you said we started out with broadcast, and in many ways we're getting back to there's a lot of exciting stuff coming back that's tech enabled now. And so I think for anyone out there who doesn't know a lot about media, doesn't know what it means or what a lot of the terminology, there's a lot of terminology in it. Hopefully we can, help give everybody a little more level grounding. It's not magic. It is involved, and it has a lot more math involved than ever before. Yes. But hopefully this will be useful. So we've talked media, but let's talk specifically you, to just help everybody understand, how did you start your career? Where did you start your career, and how did you get where you are today?
I am the odd bird that is actually doing pretty much what I plan to do.
That's extremely unique.
It is. It is. I'm a unicorn. I studied advertising in college. I really loved the opportunity in the profession. I found out very quickly that creative was not the path for me. Mm-hmm. And when I took the media planning course that everyone hated, I loved it. And I was like, I found it. I found my place and my role that allows me to think creatively, but also tap into that analytical side, which, you really do have to love math and a spreadsheet to fully embrace media. So it was just a perfect fit. I knew all along that I wanted to do media. When I graduated from college, I started my career at Ogilvy and Mather here in Atlanta, which is sort of a dream if you're studying advertising and you get to walk through these red hallways and really get a great foundation of learning. I was trained in the business by a man who had run media departments in New York City, so I think I had very classical foundation. And eventually I did go to New York and spent sort of the requisite year up there, but I am Southern, as you can tell by my accent, and it was a little too cold for me. So I came back to Atlanta, and that is really where I pivoted to work in a more entrepreneurial environment. This man that was my mentor in the business founded his own agency, and I got that bug of starting at a smaller agency where you can really partner with your clients and
sounds like our company. I mean, we're doing a lot. We're sort of, I'm going to say making it up as we go, but we have a lot of clients that place a lot of trust in us and are, looking for a partner along the way to sort of unlock these opportunities.
Absolutely. And, well, that's a big reason I'm at Modo is just, I think when you're an entrepreneur, so, once you get the bug and a taste of that, I don't think I could ever go back. Nothing wrong with the big agencies, but just having the opportunity to be shoulder to shoulder with a team and be part of something that, building and partners with your client is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I was talking to a colleague the other day, and I think there's a reason that all kinds of companies exist, and there's the right place for different people. And I think big agencies do a great job with foundations and fundamentals and training programs. But I think that the entrepreneurial agencies are really good at throwing you in the frying pan, and the learning is not just something somebody else learned and is imparting to you, but it's your learning.
Yes.
That's great for some people. It's not great for other people. But I also learned in very small environments, and I would not be, the person I am if I hadn't, been on that kind of challenging journey.
Couldn't agree more. I think sometimes it's knowing what you know and knowing what you don't know, and having the courage and the ability to figure things out.
I just want to plant that seed about what kind of environment you want to be in, because, spoiler alert, when we get to the end, we're going to be talking about talent a little bit, and I think that's important. But back to something, this ties into the John Wanamaker dilemma, the whole is the advertising working? I think media is asked to prove its worth all the time in a changing dynamic, and I think it's always important to know what you do matters, and everybody's always wanted to know what's the ROI on that, or how do I know this is working? But I think especially the last few years, and especially the last few quarters, the stakes have gone up, right? We went through a pandemic. I think very briefly there, people had a lot of tolerance to test and try things because it was totally brave new world, and nobody knows what'll work, so let's try some stuff. But then we've now slid back to the economy's tightening up, and people's tolerance on risk is sort of coming back in. So I want to start this topic, and then we'll probably break and we'll pick it back up. But can we just talk a little bit about that, about why right now it is critical to be able to prove your worth?
We're definitely feeling that pressure quite a bit. And I I think what we are starting to see is our clients respond in a way that they're going really lower funnel, really quick, right? Give me the lead. I need the contacts, and it's becoming a little. I think this is where that partnership comes into play to have the. I don't want to say hard conversations, but the direct conversations with clients about, balancing what we need to do, right? Like we can't, even in a B2B environment, turn our back on the importance of upper funnel awareness.
Well, and it's a very long journey, right? That's the other thing. I think when you're in a B2C world where it takes a very brief amount of time to understand what it is, you can get quickly to the ask. But in a B2B environment, I think that is one of the rubs, and maybe this is a good point to end on as we get into this first break. When it takes a long time to establish yourself from an awareness standpoint and top of funnel, you can't just turn things off or jump straight to conversion just because you need conversions right now. So
correct.
So we'll talk a little bit about that and about the mix when we come back with Melissa Nordin, Director of Media, and more about all things media.
A lifetime of hard work, children laughing in the kitchen, family photos on a restaurant wall, a legacy that lives on. It all comes from the power of a conversation, like the one Tommy Hall had with First Horizon Bank about taking over his father's Charleston-based restaurant business. Now the table is set for a whole new generation. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Tommy. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
And we're back with our guest Melissa Nordin on Marketing Madhouse, and so we were talking a little bit about everyone wanting to drive conversions, which is really critical. But I think that with the evolution of media, there's a lot of unique things you can do. There's a lot that people who aren't in media don't even understand, make up what is media. I think a lot of people know a TV spot, and a lot of people think of, a print ad in a newspaper. But can you maybe use an example of one of our clients and talk about all the different kinds of media that we've done, for one client as an example?
Yeah, sure. And in my world, media is just any path to a consumer. So almost anything could be a media channel. But
that's a great way to look at it.
I'll use our small business insurer client as an example. Because of the target audience that they're going after, they're almost approach a B2C audience, I think.
Right, because there's over,
30 million small business owners in the U.S., so pretty big audience that we're going after. And we had a great opportunity to look at performance and then retool a plan to begin to test and measure to see where we can get results. And we are actually supporting more upper funnel awareness messaging and effort to drive conversion with some of their lower funnel tactics. And some of the things that we looked at, connected TV is one of my favorite things to talk about because it is really part of that evolution of media. TV has been around forever. When people think of advertising or Mad Men, they're thinking about TV commercials, and this is really merging the measurability and the targetability of television with all of the great things about TV, sight, sound, and motion. So we took this to the client and showed them the ability to target small business owners with a TV spot who doesn't like to have their brand on TV. And then we are able to digitally retarget anyone that was served that TV ad and drive them to conversion. Is probably anytime you test and measure, and I love to talk about test and measure, and I also love to follow up with, we're not going to hit a home run every time. That's why we're testing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's the whole idea is to take some calculated risks, and you don't win them all. Yeah,
correct. But I am going to say for connected TV, it was a home run.
Yeah,
it was awesome that we could show great levels of awareness, but we could also tie that back to ultimate conversion.
And what else did we try with this client? Because I think there was a whole lot that we threw at the wall and it all stuck.
It did. That was, and it doesn't work that way every time, but it did this time. Reddit was another platform that was a really interesting one for us. And if you think about the way we use Reddit, we're talking about things, we're seeking out information, and one of the things that we found is small business insurance is already a topic of conversation. And I just want to throw one thing in there. When I think about discussion boards, and I know often we're talking about B2B, but business owners and entrepreneurs are very similar to physicians, and they're very peer-to-peer oriented, right? So a discussion board for an industry or a market, if you are in a closed market or a very peer-to-peer market, that's a place that, again, to try to really anchor some of these tactics. These things don't make sense for everybody, but if you are in a peer-to-peer place where people want to get under the hood and talk mano a mano about what things are. Correct. And we even found that they were talking about our client as an insurance choice. So we felt it was a perfect alignment of our message where the conversation was already happening. So we found a great opportunity to elevate the brand there. A couple of other things we did, and we don't, in our world now, we don't talk about linear TV a lot, but because we were talking to small business owners, a very entrepreneurial audience, we did a partnership with Shark Tank. So we were running our commercials within Shark Tank programming. And if you think about, not only are there a lot of small business owners that are watching that programming, there are influencers, right?
Yeah.
Like my friend's a small business owner. I saw this. Have you thought about getting small business insurance?
Attorneys, investor, all the people that surround that ecosystem.
Yes. So it was
advisors.
A great placement that even led to some significant added value and opportunities for the C-suite with this client to engage with small business owners at one of their forums that they opened up.
What about, I'm going to pick apart a phrase that we've used a couple times here. We're talking about upper funnel, lower funnel, and I think those terms make a lot of sense to us. But again, if you own a business and you're not in marketing, I think people talk about funnels a lot, and I think theoretically everybody understands you come in the top of a funnel and you get pulled to the bottom of it. But when we talk about it in relation to media, the upper funnel is the broader brand-oriented. I've seen that company. I've heard of that company. I think of Findlay Roofing. I think the roof people, right? I think of companies like that are upper funnel, and then lower funnel is more conversion. Act now, ask for the quote. It assumes that you're closer to being able to make a decision.
Absolutely.
So as we talk about upper and lower, so another terminology you used, and I want to go back to connected TV because I feel that every client that we talk to about connected TV is, very excited. But you also a moment ago used a linear TV example, and then you've talked connected TV. So you can just explain the difference between linear and connected, and then unpack connected TV for us.
Okay. So linear, think of that as your old school broadcast. Typically,
there's an antenna.
There's wired or cable.
Yep.
Coming in.
Yep.
So that would be a linear TV buy. Connected TV is TV that you're watching streaming. So, we can use Netflix as an example as a streaming platform. Of course, it's not ad supported, but in my house we are DirecTV, Hulu, any of those things, and now just recently, streaming households have now overtaken wired households. So it's it's coming. We're moving away from that. Everything will be streaming. One kind of important nuance with connected TV, you'll hear people say over the top or connected TV. A lot of times they're used interchangeably.
Or OTT, which is over the top.
Over the top. Connected TV is really in the big screen environment.
Okay.
So you are watching on your television set, you're not watching on your mobile device or your desktop. Now, I'm going to say that I do believe in the future, we may be pulling away from this soon.
Yep.
When I watch my own children, 16 and 21, they really only watch programming on their laptops, other than sports. Live sports, we tend to be in front of the TV. But for now, we're really focused on connected TV in that big screen environment.
Okay, so now let's go further. So because again, I'm just sort of talking through what I know to be some assumptions, right? I think that when you have linear TV, you buy the spot, the Super Bowl comes on, the spot plays, and you think it's over, right? Are people aware of us or not? But connected TV goes on and on and on, right?
Yes.
It may start there. So just talk about when we talk about connected TV, where does it start and where do you go through the journey of the media, let's say?
Well, when we're purchasing connected TV, we're working with a partner. First of all, I'm going to back up and start with targeting, which has changed so much. Even 5 years ago, we were talking a lot about connected TV and OTT, and we still weren't putting a lot of targeting filters on it. We might hand select a group of networks, but we weren't really able to put any big targeting parameters. Now we're able to, to purchase different data sets, Oracle data, and with our small business client, hone in on small business owners as our target. So I'm gonna pick on you.
Okay,
we're targeting you as a marketer. You're at home. You're streaming. We're going to serve you a TV ad.
Okay.
I'm going to know that it was served in your household, and then I'm going to match devices. I'm going to also know your cell phone, your laptop. I'm going to know it's you because you go to Modo Modo every day as a marketing agency, and then I'm going to follow you and retarget you.
This is not at all creepy, but just keep going.
I think it's fascinating, creepy, fascinating. And then we're going to be able to continue to talk to you, with display banners, and it's an important part. You've seen the awareness spot that tells you more of the story. And now you're seeing the display banner. And then we're able to measure if you come to our site and if you convert. And we'll go back to that low funnel. Get a quote is our conversion metric. So we're able to report all of that back to the client. And if you think back to where we started the conversation with the Wanamaker, now I'm able to say, yes, the tech connected TV did work.
Right. Because you've followed it all the way through and you have proof, right? You have evidence.
Yes.
So, I want to talk a little bit about, let's circle back to targeting for a minute. So we talked about, the devices themselves, but just talk a little bit about what the targeting technology is for finding personas and people in there. You talked about me as a marketer. What is possible in terms of being able to target individuals?
I mean, it's gotten pretty precise, right? There's a number of different data sets that are available to purchase for targeting. We've talked about small business owners are a relatively broad target. But as you know, we have a medical device manufacturer that targets a very niche subsection of healthcare professionals, wound care, things I didn't know I would know about. And we're able to find them as well. Now, as a media person, I'm always going to look for scale. We certainly don't want to find a target so niche that we're hitting them over the head or we're not able to be efficient in reaching them. But there are a lot of different ways to find that audience and a lot of different data that is available to isolate.
I think that's the thing that's so exciting as somebody who's been in the B2B arena because, I think advertisers or publishers used to always have profiles of generally this is who listens. And, they'd have Nielsen data on demographics and psychographics, but that never covered these strange abstractions that we deal with in terms of B2B, weird subject matter and strange job titles, and that data is finally emerging in these sets, and it really is making us able to do things more surgically, which is exciting. Okay, so as usual, we're going to run out of time before we get through all the things, but I want to tee up first, and we'll start on the topic and move through. Let's do forward-looking, exciting stuff. So, one of the things that comes up a lot, and when I say comes up, for 5 years, our clients have been talking about ABM. Some say they've been doing it for 20, 30 years, and I believe them. They just haven't had, ABM technology platforms to support it. But, when we kind of look ahead, can you talk about, ABM and what we're seeing there? And I should say, obviously, the most hyped term right now is AI. Everybody's looking at AI, and there's an AI piece of everything. There's an AI piece of media. There's an AI piece of ABM. There's an AI piece of all the things around us. But specific to ABM in terms of a practice, so account-based. Let me follow. Eat my own dog food here. Account-based marketing, which increasingly clients want to not only in a B2B environment where, you have these huge committees that make decisions. And the Association of National Advertisers did a study with LinkedIn, and they determined that in a B2B sale, currently there are approximately 17 people involved in a major decision. So this is not, Frank and Sandy like the house, and so the two of them can make a decision, right? This is 17 people that have to weigh in. And so when you're looking at that, you need to not only market to Frank and market to Sandy and market to the kids and market to the grandparents. There's 17 people that may be in this purchase. So talk a little bit about ABM for a minute. Talk about what that is and where we're using it or what we see the possibilities be.
I mean, I think you did a great job describing it, because if you think about it from a media perspective, if our clients are taking an ABM approach, which really does take into account multiple audiences, that could be difficult, right? If we're targeting, 6 different job functions or different titles in an organization, and it has become an important part of the conversation. Yeah. So one of the things that we have done is sought out partners that can help us go to market with an account-based model. Yep. One of those, I don't have to tell you this, but that we have a strategic alliance partnership with a company called Demandbase, which has an ABM platform. Part of their platform is an ad cloud, which is sort of a programmatic, a programmatic buying tool. And programmatic, in simplest terms to me, is smart computers, right? We're able to use a lot of information to find the right people and then target them in microseconds. So we're bidding against the right audience, but really smart computers, for lack of better words. And what Demandbase does and what we're doing for our clients is we have the opportunity to target at the account level. And instead of putting things like job function or job titles into the mix to target, we're functioning more on intent cues. So we work very closely with our strategy team. We work closely with the creative team. We work closely with our clients to understand what are those sort of intent keywords that would guide us to find the audience. Because again, it's crossing departments, it's crossing levels of seniority, but we know by virtue of the fact that they're engaging with this type of content or these types of keywords that we're going to reach the correct audience.
Well, one of the things that I think anybody that's looking at ABM, and I say looking at because a lot of people aren't doing it, but they continue to talk about it. And part of it is the people in your organization. Are you connecting the right people to get the insight and have the right targets in the first place? The other part is the technologies to track this all the way through, things like Demandbase to be able to target them. But I think it's really important that you understand different people are in different places on the journey. And so there's been a lot of that with our clients. There's several technology companies that have gone through a transformation over the last few years. And it's not just a campaign nuanced a few ways with a jazzy headline that speaks to different roles. It really is about this area in an organization has never heard of us and probably doesn't care about us, right? Versus these people have known us for 25 years and they've stopped listening because they're so tired, right? Correct. So you have to do different things depending on who the roles may be, or, you know, with a lot of our clients, it's we're going to focus on different vertical targets at this point in time. And so, you know, I think it's important for anybody who's doing marketing. It's not just important to know who are the demographics and how do you push the words and the pictures to them, but do the words and the pictures need to do a different job based on where these people are? I mean, I know journeys is an overused term, but it's a perfect term because people are in different places and you have to meet them where they are and then bring them the rest of the way. So we've talked a lot about various media channels, how people are using them, some of the challenges that our clients experience trying to deploy things, even to understand what their options are, you know, to find a great partner like us, right, that could help them understand where the waste is, right, that the John Wanamaker, again, like don't spend money there because you're throwing good money after bad versus, wow, we did this test here and, you know, we really think you should look at that. So, you know, I think we've covered all of that. When we come back, what I want to talk about, and it's everybody's favorite thing, again, the economy is very interesting right now, but I want to talk about KPIs, and then we're going to have a little fun at the very end. But we will be back in a minute with Melissa Nordin.
This morning in the Atlanta airport, no one's missing a meal on Mac Wilburn's watch. With 11 restaurants to serve passengers, he's got dining for every destination. And it all started when Mac talked with First Horizon Bank about opening a franchise in the airport. Now it's open for business and cleared for takeoff. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Mac. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.
We are back with the Marketing Madhouse. Melissa Nordin, thank you so much for allowing me to drag you into the studio. I know you weren't delighted at the idea.
Thank you for having me.
But you're such a natural. See, this wasn't painful. It's great. So we're going to close out today, and we're going to go fast and frenzied. I have 3 topics I want us to hit on, some things. So I want us to talk about KPIs. Everybody needs better KPIs, different KPIs. They need to be able to speak to the ones they have. Talk a little bit about what are the top KPIs we report on or that people are asking about, and maybe even, you know, misconceptions about those KPIs.
Yeah. Well, I would say the one thing about KPIs, the most important thing is alignment, right?
Right.
It really
Whatever
starts with that, and I know that my account team partners love when I say that, but it really is from the very beginning ensuring that we're aligned with our clients, because I think sometimes they may have the appropriate buzzwords that they're thinking about, but when push comes to shove, their KPI might be a little bit different, or perhaps their boss's KPI is a little bit different. A lot of the things that we report on, we've talked upper funnel, lower funnel. You know, we're always going to check the boxes, do the due diligence on things.
I've done it again. KPI is a key performance indicator.
Correct.
I believe somebody knows. But how do we? What are these ROI metrics that we are using?
Yeah, and some are. You know, any good media person is going to tell you how many impressions we delivered. When I say impressions, it's almost like eyeballs, right? Like how many of those people are we going to reach?
And so when we're talking top of funnel, it's impressions, eyeballs, because this is where awareness is, reach, heard.
Correct.
All of that. And then what are some lower funnel KPIs?
So when we get I'll go to mid funnel when we think about engagement. When I say engagement, it means they did something with the ad. Did they click it? Did they watch it? So we'll report on engagement metrics, how many people did it, and then an engagement rate or a click-through rate. So we'll look a lot at that. And then a lot of our clients, because many are B2B focused, we're looking at things like contacts or leads. So that comes into play, and that sort of brings us through the funnel. But from my perspective, the biggest thing is to make sure on the front end that we understand what we're going to be graded on.
I want to put an exception or a caveat on that. It brings you through the funnel, except I think there's a lot of disagreement about what coming out the bottom of the funnel is. Is it a marketing qualified lead? Is it a sales qualified lead? Is it someone that is actually demoing? Or is it someone who is now purchased? And so these things could mean something entirely different to everyone on your team. And when you're reporting, you have to understand when you say conversion, what do you mean? Because we may mean clicks on something and fills out a form. That is a form conversion. But your head of sales may think a conversion is they bought it, right? And so you really have to click in on these terms to make sure, and especially in B2B. I think at Coca-Cola, a conversion is they they have a loyalty coupon on their phone. You better believe they're drinking a Coke 30 seconds later, probably. You know what I mean? Like that. That's a fast transaction, but especially in the B2B long sales cycle considered purchase world, that's where you have these really long, multifaceted conversion paths that you have to make sure you're all speaking the same language on those reports.
And I think we've really gone from saying lead to being really careful to say contact. Because from a media and an advertising perspective, that's what we can bring to them.
And
an actual contact.
And I think that's another thing, again, going back to that ABM, who is looking at this report? If you are marketers, you have one set of needs with the information. If you are doing ABM and your sales and marketing teams are coming together, they have a different set of needs and interests and handoffs. And if you're the executive team, they don't want to see grids and grids and grids and percentages and all the things. They want to know, is our investment working? Is it delivering more of the things we hoped it would? And, they need a really, really short executive summary. Okay, so I want to pivot for a second. I know we're in our last segment, and I want to talk about talent for a minute. We have been in our careers for a while, hiring people, bringing them up, developing them. And I've been doing a lot of talking in collegiate environments recently, and I'm about to talk to another group. And I think it's very interesting when people want to know what skills are you looking for, right? What will make someone good? And I know we are hiring, in our media function as media grows with us. So what are those most important skills? And what should somebody interested in a career in media be looking for?
I think from a hard skill perspective, it is certainly some comfort with math, comfort with spreadsheets, enjoyment of more of an analytical process. There are a lot of things that can be taught, but I believe in the beginning, you really have to like the nerdier side of our business.
Right. If it's really boring to you, it's not all of a sudden going to become engaging. Probably. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But it is, I think, learning the tactics, learning the reporting, things like that can be taught. But it starts with a comfort with, again, the nerdier side of the business, which I happen to think is the cool side.
And then how, as you come up in your career, what do you go to? Like if you have this grounding and anchoring and math and spreadsheets and you see how it connects, what then makes somebody really shine maybe at a media supervisor level?
I think curiosity is always going to be part of it. We've talked a lot about the evolution of media, and things are constantly changing. So I think you have to be curious and have a desire to continue to learn, and also be comfortable with an ever-changing environment, because that is pretty much the only thing that I think has stayed the same, is that it's constantly been changing. The other thing that I would layer on in general, I think in our business, but when I think about media and I think back when I got my start I was very lucky to have a mentor in the business who taught me early on, media is my discipline. It's what we're going to do well. We're going to be the expert. But two things, always have a seat at the table with your client. And we're always marketers too. I cannot, to be successful, you can't just embrace media only, but really understand the bigger impact to the client's business. And I think as media has evolved, that's become more and more important. It's one of the biggest investments they make. So we have to be part of their team.
I would say that for anybody in any career that's in marketing, there's the my discipline approach, which doesn't mean you're better. It's you have to be expert at it. But then the people that really come out head and shoulders above are the ones who see how it helps others around them and how it connects with them. Like who are your stakeholders? Who is on this journey, that seat at the table you're talking about? Because if you can only speak your language, you're not speaking the language, right? You have to be able to take what you know and then tell it in everybody else's nomenclature. Just to use another, $3 word or however many dollars that word was. So it's the Madhouse, and we wouldn't be crazy if we weren't talking about something crazy. And I know we've both had very crazy careers, and I want to hear, what is the craziest thing that has ever happened to you in media or career or your life?
Well,
let's take the life back. Okay, in your career in media.
I think one of my favorite crazy requests when I spent time in New York. I actually moved to New York to work on Atlanta-based Bell South, so that made a lot of sense.
You don't see that happening all the time.
Nope. I left Atlanta, and we were launching a really big campaign. I was actually not the craziest part. Was the creative director insisted on 90-second TV spots, which nobody is 90-second.
No, that's
funny.
Long. Yeah.
But that wasn't the craziest thing. It was they had created a mythical town in the spot, and the creative director came to my office and asked me to research buying the tops of all of the warehouses that you see as you land at Hartsfield. So they could put on the top, welcome to, I think Chatsford was the name of it, welcome to Chatsford. And, we didn't end up doing that, but I made a lot of phone calls, and I think people thought I had lost my mind. But it goes back to what I said. Any path to the consumer is media.
Yeah. And those are the things, I mean, I've seen all kinds of crazy installations in the last few years where you'll have, it's sort of the combination between environmental and experiential, where, something comes out of a billboard or something comes out of a building or off of a building. I know you've bought, building media and TKE.
I think it's Sea Rock City. Yeah. That was the original.
Right, exactly. It's there's no place you can't activate a consumer.
Right. That's right.
Well, this was fantastic. I loved kind of going. I'm a nerd, so I like all of these topics. But more importantly, I think letting people know that they are complex, and you just need somebody who's willing to kind of understand what you need to accomplish, and then know their tools. Back to it's a discipline. Really get into what is capable of being done, and which things might be, if you're willing to test, so that you can really win. And I think that our clients are certainly looking to us for as much creativity as possible. I think people often talk about marketing and advertising as a creative field, and they think that means design, or they think that means copywriting. But really, what is creative about it is, how do we find and surround buyers? How do we understand what their journey is, and then match them with the right things to help them on that path, not just to shout at them, but to get there. So anyway, thank you so much for taking time with us. Obviously love having you on the team. It has been fantastic.
Love being on the team.
It's all good. We've got exciting things coming ahead. We're onboarding a couple of new media clients and talking to a few others. So if you happen to be listening to the section on talent, and you know someone that is curious and likes math and likes spreadsheets and analysis, but also really is interested in where this goes next. I think you had mentioned something about linear radio. It's really there's a lot changing. So
Yes.
If you're interested in a media position, definitely hit us up at Modo Modo Agency. Hopefully this was helpful. As always, remember there is a fine line between genius and insanity, and we're walking it. I'm your host, Moira Vetter, with guest Melissa Nordin, and we will see you next time on the Marketing Madhouse.
This morning in North Carolina, wheels are spinning. Determination is winning. A passion is now a thriving business, and it shows no signs of slowing down. How? The power of a conversation, like the one Clint Spiegel had with First Horizon Bank about starting a bike wheel manufacturing facility in Asheville. Now it's not just talk, it's rubber meets road. First Horizon Bank. Let's find a way. Go to firsthorizon.com/Clint. First Horizon Bank, member FDIC.